Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a new episode of Qualia. Today, we are going to talk about the survivor bias. The world usually celebrates successful people, but in today's episode, we are going to do something different. We are going to talk about the tales of forgotten failures. Let's start with some history.
In World War II, aeroplanes played an important role. They would fly near the enemy cities and targets and drop the bombs which would cause the maximum destruction possible. The key here was flying low because if the aeroplanes flew high, they missed their targets quite often and would end up bombing a large field of grass rather a populated city. But flying low had its own problems, as these aircraft bombers could easily be shot down by the ground soldiers as soon as they became visible. One solution to this problem was applying an armor to the aeroplanes. But the whole aircraft could not be covered with armor as it would make them too heavy to fly. It was simply not viable. To solve this problem of increasing the aircraft's survivability, the US Air Force asked its statistical research group to find the areas where the armor has to be applied. The mathematicians from this research group did a survey of aircrafts that returned from the battlefield and found that they were majorly hit in the tail and the wing region. When they decided that these were the areas that they would apply an armor, a Hungarian statistician from this group named Abraham Wald suggested something counterintuitive, something that would possibly change the course of the war. He pointed out that the survey by the mathematicians was conducted on aircrafts that had survived even after being hit in the wings and the tail region. So these areas weren't the critical ones. He further suggested that they take the bullets to be hit the aircraft at all areas randomly and remove the tail and the wing region as they weren't critical for the survivability of the aircraft. Because these aircraft clearly survived even after being hit there. The other areas where the armors must be applied as they were the regions that upon being hit didn't return back to the base. This tendency of humans to focus on survivors instead of a non-survivor is known as the survivor bias. It is the logical error of concentrating on things that made it past and overlooking some of those that did not. This is a type of selection bias that leads to false conclusions in different ways. I'm sure, Pradeep, you too would have come across situations like these where you have seen survivor bias at play.
I think that most of us have had this experience. We go to restaurants and sometimes we see that the business there is just thriving and those people they're just making money hand over fists. And we see that there's a lot of restaurants around a single restaurant and all of them are crowded equally. So we get this weird idea in our mind. Maybe I should start a restaurant, which is a really rational idea. But then don't do this. I'll tell you what it is. Whenever you see a cluster of super successful business franchises as restaurants, for our example, that is evidence for the business that you should avoid. That means there's plenty of people already into the business, and if there is a circle of super successful restaurants, there is a similar circle of super failed restaurants. And we often fail to take into account the super failed restaurants. They may not be in our vicinity, or who wants to notice a failed restaurant? I think we are survivally biased out there. And there is this study which says that most of the restaurants, they fail in their business as time progresses in a period of 3 years. The 3 year is a threshold period for a restaurant business to thrive. But then if you were to put all your fortune in it, and if you were to fail, I think it would be really catastrophic.
So Pradeep, now that you're talking about restaurants, I recollect this quote by this writer Nicholas Taleb, which goes like, "The symmetry of failed restaurants is a very silent one." I think this very aptly applies to the present context that you are talking about.
Yes, and this is not just for restaurants. I have this some kind of travesty, this misinterpretation that's all over the world. This travesty is that the most successful people are college dropouts. They often make an example out of tech giants like Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Michael Dell. So they think that the people who are idolizing these people, they tend to think that the only thing that's standing between their dreams of becoming a billionaire and becoming a billionaire is their college, and they tend to drop out of their college. And what they fail to take into account are those people who dropped out of colleges and those people who did not become billionaires and those who are working their heads off, and they are the people who work in vacations, they work in Christmas break, they work in all kinds of breaks just to make up for what they lost in their college education. Such a travesty is highly reprehensible.
I'll tell you one personal example of mine where I noticed the survivor bias in play. I usually listen to songs in my speakers. They are of loud and strong beats. Once my father heard me listening to these songs. He's usually a Lata Mangeshkar or a Mohammed Rafi fan, a slow song lover from the 50s and 60s. He scolded me and our generation for our taste in music and recommended me
Okay,
some of
I'm
his.
going to side with your father on this one.
And
I'm sorry to have to stop you, but I'm going to side with your father on this one.
but wait, Pradeep, before you draw conclusions, because here's survivorship bias in picture. What I did was I took the other 6, 7 songs from one of the songs that he recommended and made him listen through the whole album. At those times there would be 7 to 8 songs in a single album, and each song will be like 6, 7 minutes with lots of slow music in it. To his own surprise, he couldn't sit and listen through all the songs, even he was the one who recommended me to listen. That day, my father realized the survivor bias, that it wasn't that all songs from his generations were great. It was those few surviving subset that were good. And to make a decision based on that small subset of songs is to fall for survivor bias.
It's such a cruel realization what you gave to your father, man. I think it's so cruel.
See, but this bias was not only in these small situations, this bias was also later identified in a scientific experiment too. It was performed in the late 20th century. It was in New York, which had a large number of stray cats and equally large number of high-rise buildings. It was observed that there were a lot of cases of cats falling down from these high-rise buildings. There were so many cases of cats being brought to the local hospital that the scientists thought of doing a statistical analysis on the data available on them. As common sense would suggest, the taller the fall, greater the injury that a cat must have. But it was observed that this trend only followed till a particular number, that is 7 floors, above which the cats had been injured very less. According to this analysis, it would be good for a cat to be falling from a 15th floor rather than a 6th floor. When this result was released, various people came forward to give a lot of logical reasons for this phenomena. Some would talk about how the cats attain terminal velocity. This may or may not be true. But this caused even greater confusions, and only when we applied our understanding of survivor bias that we found that the cats which fell down from higher floors rarely made it to the clinic or to the doctors where their fall was being recorded. Rather, they straightly went to the burial ground. Thus, we can see the clear bias in data where the cats which survived the high fall made into the data, and whereas the cats that didn't caused our reasoning to get skewed. Maybe survivor bias is deeper and works in ways that we have no control over. So, Pradeep, do you have any examples from evolutionary biology that you're so fond of?
Yes, Rohan. Survivorship bias is not just a statistical or mathematical phenomenon. I think it runs deep into cognition. After all, it's a cognitive bias, and cognition is really deeper than evolution. Evolution is just a substrate of cognition. So, there is this example which will make sense of the survivorship bias on an evolutionary scale. There was this study in primatology in which they studied higher order primates. Higher order primates, when translated to English, is chimpanzees. They were studying chimpanzees and their social structure. What they found was a group of chimpanzees, which is called a community, had a leader. And this leader is often the physically superior one, meaning this chimpanzee was stronger than all of the other chimpanzees. And a later chimpanzee can possess one of two traits. It can either be tyrannical or it can be cooperative. Now, a tyrannical chimpanzee, what the tyrannical chimpanzee does is it bullies all the other members of the community. It doesn't get well along with the women. It bullies all its subordinates. So all the chimpanzees, other than the leader chimpanzee, they get some unrest. So these physically weaker chimpanzees, they come together and they just tear the tyrant chimpanzee apart. And that chimpanzee has no chance of survival in a community. A tyrannical chimpanzee can't just save itself, then how can you expect it to save a community? So tyranny is a trait that you should avoid. And in the case of cooperative chimpanzees, these chimpanzees get well along with its subordinates so that it ensures its own survival and it ensures the survival of the whole community. Looking at all this, they had two inferences of this study, where if they had taken only the survived subset of the chimpanzees, you can see that they would have come to this conclusion that cooperativeness is the prime trait. Cooperativeness is the prime trait for survival. But then this would have turned a blind eye towards those chimpanzees which didn't survive. And there is something really important that we can learn from those chimpanzees which didn't survive, which is not to be tyrannical. A smallest malevolent tyrannical element in a social structure is like a cancer. It can crumble the entire social structure from the inside. So being cooperative is good, fair enough. But being cooperative alone is not just good. You also have to be not tyrannical. You should eliminate all possible tyrannical elements in the society. That's how a society thrives. So this is one of the examples of survivorship bias that we have in primatology.
Seeing this bias in our evolution makes me think that knowing about this bias is more important than anything else. Sometimes it's strange how world works, where we depend for advices on few successful people on how to succeed, and we totally miss out to ask a large group of people on how not to fail. I think knowing about survivorship bias would help us see the world in better clarity. It would show us the real world.
I think the chances of success and the chances of failure are the greater fraction of determining that is not in our hands. For example, a successful person has 10 rules in his life that he follows every day. There is no reason or there is no chance that this will work for you too. One or two might, but there is no chance that you can follow the same rules and become as successful as that person. And I think there is this problem in idolizing someone. Think about this. There is this very famous saying which says that if you want to be a millionaire, if you want to become a millionaire, you have to think how a millionaire does. You have to make decisions how a millionaire will take decisions. I think it's really stupid, man. A millionaire is someone who tried a lot of things, or fortunately, he did one thing, and that one thing, he turned out to be good at it, and he just kept doing it in a repetitive fashion. Now, you, an absolute starter who's starting from the scratch, you have to try a lot of new things. You'll have to try a lot of new things to know what you can do good and what you can do better, and what you can do bad and what you can be worse at. You can know all this. But if a millionaire were asked to try something new, he would simply say that he doesn't have the time and he wouldn't do it. And if you see that he doesn't do it, and if you don't try any new things in your life, there are very less chances that, let alone become a millionaire, there are very less chances that you'll even become successful on some smaller scale. So I think that ideas like this are really reprehensible. I think people have to think for themselves rather than the rules for success or the don'ts for failures. Rather than all this, I think there is a bigger part which is played by luck and a lot of other factors. So knowing survivorship bias is going to benefit you in ways that you never imagined.
That's it for this episode. Stay tuned for conversations about exciting ideas. See you guys in the next one.